We're a few years into the 2020s now, and out of the many new animated movies that have come out, I have seen 33. So here is my ranking of the ones I saw from worst to best on a tier list. But before we start, a few things. Number 1. Obviously, everything that I say in this video is all my opinion, don't take anything that I say too seriously. Number 2. My opinions are of course subject to change, so I've made a letterbox list on this topic that I'll be updating. So if you want, you can go check that out after the video. And lastly, number 3, spoiler alert for all of these films. Alright, we can start now. Kicking off the FT, I have the Boss Baby 2 Family Business. Wait, hold up, I'm getting some DMs. Oh, I knew this was coming. Firstly, I just want to talk about my thoughts on Boss Baby as a franchise. Yeah, I don't really like it. I don't hate the first film, I just don't think it's very good. The second movie though, yeah, I thought it was worse. I found all the new characters like Tim's youngest daughter to be really grating. I didn't think the messages worked as well on this one. The climax was very hard to watch if you know what I mean.
No more rules. Sayonara, Mama and Papa. Yeah.
And the animation, while not being bad, is just not the best we can expect from DreamWorks. I do have some decent stuff to say about this movie though. While I do think most of the humor in this is pretty lazy, I still think you can find this movie pretty funny at times. And I did like the score because, well, Hans Zimmer. Anyway, I want to minimize the amount of time I talk about the movies I don't like, so let's move on. At number 32, I have Trolls World Tour.
What the fuck is this piece of shit?
Now, I understand the Trolls movies have their fans. They scare me, but I know that they exist. Listen, I love DreamWorks, but these movies are just not for me, man. I really like the studio, but if they keep making movies that feel like they're made for people under 8 years, it's gonna be hard for me to say that again. But if you are above 8 years and you do like these movies, good for you, man. Take everything that I say here with a grain of salt, I don't want to insult you. But still, all the other DreamWorks movies besides the Trolls films feel like they're leaning towards an older demographic of people. The only reasons why I didn't put this at number 33 were because of the visuals and music. I actually really like the visual style that these movies have. The fluffy texturing, creative backgrounds, all great. The music too, pretty good at times. Everything else though, again, not for me. This movie focuses a lot on Branch and Poppy's relationship, which I really couldn't care less for, sorry Poppy fans. The plot is about stopping this evil rock troll named Queen Barb. I wish I was lying, but I'm not. Anyway, it's about stopping her from getting these 6 artifacts before she gets ultimate power. Basically just Infinity War, but if it was held together by a lot of pop covers. Anyway, I didn't think Barb was a very good villain. The other characters were all forgettable. Like, gun to my head, I cannot tell you the name of this guy, or whatever the hell this is. What is it?
I told you we needed more glitter.
Overall, in my opinion, pretty forgettable film. I just wish DreamWorks would have given us Rise of the Guardian sequels instead of this. Kicking off the E tier, I have the 4th Hotel Transylvania movie, Transformania. Yep, that's right guys, there's a 4th movie. Oh, and I didn't really like it. The plot of this one is about Dracula not wanting to give up his hotel to Johnny, but an incident happens where their bodies change and they end up going on an adventure together to restore themselves. Firstly, let's talk about my connection to the Hotel Transylvania movies. I really like the first 2. I think they're funny and have a lot of heart. I don't even think that the 3rd movie is that bad. However, the 4th movie to me sort of felt like an outlier to the others. The story felt very irrelevant, Dracula didn't feel like himself, the animation felt like a downgrade, and they didn't even get Adam Sandler back for this one. They messed up. Although I thought that the animation was a downgrade, I will admit that the backgrounds looked pretty nice, and I still enjoyed some of the humor. Even if the funniest part about this movie is how let down people were by the Invisible Man's human design. Y'all really thought? Anyway, if you're gonna watch these movies, I'd recommend the first 3. This one just didn't really need to happen. At number 30, I have the Miraculous Ladybug movie. So as someone who watched the show a lot when I was younger, this was really disappointing. I went into this hoping for nostalgia, and I came out questioning my life. This movie is basically just an adaptation of the show. It follows the same story but with the addition of songs. Yeah, this was a musical. So because I wasn't warned about this at all, the songs were kind of my worst nightmare when watching this. Sorry, but they decided to sing during the most awkward moments and I could not take it seriously, I'm sorry.
Stop singing!
And to make it worse, the voice actor and singer sounded nothing like each other.
What? No. Dad, this is not the day. I'm going there alone.
Okay, so jokes aside, if you are a fan of the TV series, you'll more than likely be delighted by this, as there is literally more plot development in this small film than there is in the entire show. But I really wouldn't recommend this to anyone else. Really good climax and animation though. At number 29, I have The Monkey King, an animated movie that premiered on Netflix. Yeah, this wasn't great. I was kind of hoping Netflix would surprise me again like they did with Nimona, but they didn't. I liked the adventure in this movie, along with the action and the animation, though I was not a fan of the designs. I don't know why. Also, that trail effect they used for Stick during the fight scenes, that was pretty cool. But the stuff I didn't like in this movie definitely outweighed the stuff I did like. The biggest con for me were the characters. Most of them were very unlikable. Except for Stick, of course. Stick, what a lad you are. My big issue was Monkey. I know that we are supposed to feel bad for him, but I really couldn't get myself to. I might just hate him more than any animated character that came out in 2023. Including Claude. I will say that I thought this movie was fun at times. I liked the interactions between Lynn and Monkey, but the third act between the two just didn't really feel right. Overall, occasionally fun, but not very good. Kicking off the D tier, I got the most recent SpongeBob movie, Sponge on the Run. And out of the 3 SpongeBob movies that we've got, this is my least favourite. I will say that the animation team that worked on this did a fantastic job converting SpongeBob to 3D. It doesn't beat the classic 2D style, but you can't really top that. Also, loved that Keanu Reeves jump scare. Why was he a tumbleweed? Anyway, the plot is about rescuing SpongeBob's snail Gary from some king guy because apparently Gary's slime can remove the king's wrinkles? I cannot believe I just said that out loud. Wait a minute, what? Anyway, the main plot to rescue Gary was kind of boring, and most of the iconic characters outside of Patrick and SpongeBob just don't really do anything until the end, though the ending was really funny. If you want to watch a SpongeBob movie, I would recommend the original. Let's continue. At number 27, I have Trollhunters Rise of the Titans. So for those who don't know, Trollhunters, or The Tales of Arcadia, is a DreamWorks franchise made by Guillermo del Toro that has 88 episodes that stretch across 3 different shows. And excluding the budgeted animation, I would highly recommend these shows. They are really good. Anyway, Rise of the Titans is the finale to the shows, and I'm very disappointed by it. While the fight scenes are amazing and the animation upgrade is spectacular, this wasn't very good. The story is about our characters from the show trying to stop 3 titans controlled by our villains, the Arcane Order, from converging. Also, there's a male preg plotline.
Ah, my virgin eyes! I take it back. Childbirth is not so beautiful. Oh, the humanity.
Now, I will say most of this movie actually isn't that bad. However, the ending... The ending just ruins everything, and I'm not blaming Del Toro for it, as I did hear that he didn't have as much control over the movie as he did with the shows. Also, it just doesn't really seem like something he would do, considering how there is literally an episode within the first show that causes this ending to make absolutely no sense. I'm not going to spoil the ending, as I would highly recommend these shows if you haven't watched them. Watch the shows, they're the best trolls you'll ever get from DreamWorks. You will be ruined if you watch the finale though. Overall, very disappointing. Next up on the tier list, I got Vivo. Sorry guys, I really couldn't get into this one like you guys did. Don't get me wrong, I really like Kirk D'Amico. He brought us Grog, so he's instantly a god among men. But I don't know, this just really wasn't for me. I really liked the start of the movie though. I thought it was emotional and had some pretty cool music. But after that, we spend the entire movie with this girl called Gabby who travels with Vivo, and they both go to Miami to deliver a music sheet. And honestly, I found it to be extremely grating. She gets her own song, and honestly, it sent me to the grave. It was really, really bad. She really ruined this movie for me. I suppose the animation was fun. I really liked the mixing between 2D and 3D during the songs. Kirk's styles are usually pretty awesome anyway. And I did really like the ending. I was actually considering putting this in C tier, but once the movie ended, Gabby's song played in the credits and I got sent to the grave again. I'm not recovering from that. And rounding out the D tier, I got the Minions Rise of Morbius. I will admit when I first watched this I actually thought it was decent, but when I went to rewatch it for this video, it didn't hold up very well. I don't think it's bad, it's just kind of okay-ish. I loved all of the references they made to Despicable Me 1 though, along with everything Gru and Knuckles related, and obviously the soundtrack. My problems were the Minions. It just really sucks how much time is dedicated to them instead of Gru. Though I do appreciate how the Minions sort of have a purpose in this one, but still I think they got way too much screen time. Some of it was funny though. I liked the Kung Fu training scene and the plane scene, but everything else regarding them was just kind of unengaging for me. And the villains? I guess we can thank the trailers for spoiling what was going to happen with them. I suppose if you just like minions being minions, you will probably enjoy this. But anyway, next tier. Kicking off the C tier, I got Raya and the Last Dragon. I thought this was decent. I don't love it as much as most people. Like these Rotten Tomatoes, man. Oh, these are high. I have to be careful about what I say here, don't I? Anyway, the plot of this one is about a girl called Raya, who accidentally causes a magical gem to shatter. This causes the world to be threatened, and the entire movie is spent with her as we watch her try to fix her mistake. Firstly, can I just praise the animation team who worked on this, because this movie is filled with some wondrous design work. Like, I was absolutely mesmerized when watching this. Also, that soundtrack, man. That's the good stuff. My issues with this movie come down to the plot and ending. I found the plot to be really repetitive, as every place that Raya traveled to, she found a new companion. And I mean every time. Though the companions were fun, so it doesn't really matter. The ending is my bigger issue. I just don't really see a reason why Raya should have trusted Namari to that extent, and it kinda made the ending feel stupid. Like I didn't really come out of the movie feeling that impacted by the message. Also, I just wasn't really a big fan of Namari as a villain. Still, overall decent film, I enjoyed it. At number 23, I have Sing 2. Why did he start singing? 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 Oh my god, this film got an A+ at Cinema Score. Okay, I need to be really careful about what I say here now. Like, really careful. Okay, Sing 2. Now, I personally wasn't the biggest fan of the first Sing movie. I probably thought about it the same way as I did with Boss Baby. Just kinda meh. But anyway, I found Sing 2 to just be a better version of the first movie. I found the plotlines for the characters to be a lot more engaging, I thought the music scenes were even better, and the animation was a lot nicer. The only big difference between Sing 1 and 2 is that this one has a villain. Speaking of which, I actually really liked him. I believe Crystal was his name.
What?
I liked him because of his desire to kill Moon. I hate this koala, and that's coming from an Australian myself. Sorry, but he causes all of the problems in these films. He needs to be stopped. Okay, but jokes aside, Sing 2 is actually one of the better Illumination films, and I would highly recommend it if you love the first movie. Next film. Next up, I got the DC Superpets movie. It wasn't bad. Surprisingly really enjoyable and ridiculously funny. I mean, yeah, the animation is animated. Yeah, the visuals in this movie aren't that good. Like, what's up with my boy Flash here? You kind of look better in your own movie, and that's kind of saying something. Anyway, yeah, I surprisingly had a good time with this. The cast is stacked, everybody in this movie is funny, it's just a really good time. Not exactly a good movie though, it tries to be emotional and just doesn't really work. Takes itself way too seriously and has some song choices. If you're gonna watch this movie, just go in for laughs. That's all. Goodbye. Next movie. I wanna go home. Stop threatening my family. At number 21, I have Strange World. Well, this film flopped. Okay, so despite the losses this film caused for Disney and the very low audience reaction, I didn't think this was bad at all. Like, this film got a B at Cinema Score. A B! For an animated movie. A B! How does an animated movie get a B? The story is about a family of farmers who go on an adventure to traverse an underground world. I thought the start was very promising. I liked the animation, world design, and the twist regarding the world at the end. That was cool. However, I still wouldn't call this a great film. The characters are really forgettable, and the generational conflict feels very rushed. Much like Trolls, gun to my head, I cannot tell you the names of anyone in this film. Honestly, not really much to talk about this one. It has nice visuals, but it really isn't that memorable. Watch it if you're interested. Next up, I have The Sea Beast. The water in this movie, man. Anyway, The Sea Beast. Another film that I don't like as much as everyone else. I still think it's decent. There's just a lot of plot similarities to How to Train Your Dragon that I noticed in this one. This movie basically takes the exact same setting as How to Train Your Dragon, but made the Vikings pirates and the dragons sea beasts. Listen, I love How to Train Your Dragon. It's my favorite animated movie. I will defend it with my life. I'm gonna be angry if someone copies it, okay? Excluding the animation being amazing, I don't see a reason why I'd recommend this over How to Train Your Dragon. And yes, I know the stories are different, but I just didn't find this one as engaging. It's still a solid watch, but I would just recommend How to Train Your Dragon. Anyway, spicy take coming up here because at number 19, I have Onward. Onward is my least favorite Pixar movie on this list, and it's not even bad. Just goes to show how good Pixar films are. The story is about two brothers called Ian and Bartley going on an adventure to receive a gem that will help bring their father back. My main issue with this movie is just how underwhelming the adventure was. I think the backgrounds look absolutely incredible, but the terrain they traveled through just felt like such a waste of them. Like, I still came out wanting to know what was up that mountain in the poster. Also, I just didn't really care about the plotline the mother had.
Papa, more movie.
Still, Onward is a solid watch. It's a very thoughtful movie that I really appreciate. Like, I don't got a brother, but this still hits. Also, strong climax. Watch it if you're interested. Next up on the tier list, I got Lightyear. Easily the most overhated Pixar film. Like, guys, it's not that bad. It's not that bad. And I'm not defending this movie just because my name's also Andy. I'm nothing like the guy from Toy Story. Nobody point that out in the comments, please. Like, in comparison to other Pixar films, Lightyear isn't the best, but as a movie I still think it's enjoyable. It has fantastic animation, a fun adventure, cool action, and some good humor. And I would say good emotion, but Interstellar kinda did that better. Also, socks is the best part of this movie. I love socks. I want one. Give me a socks. The only thing I absolutely hated about this movie was the villain, who kind of works in what they were going for with Buzz's arc. But as a villain, he was just not good. The Lego Movie 2 honestly did it better. Still, it's a fun adventure, just don't listen to anyone if they call it like the worst movie ever made. It's not, I'm sorry. Anyway, next up I have Wish Dragon. I'm ranking Aladdin clone this high. How am I going to defend myself here? Okay, so Wish Dragon is kind of good. It's basically just like Aladdin, but the genie is a dragon, and it takes place nowadays. Now listen, there are quite a few flaws here. While I do really like the animation and it has that cloudy with a chance of meatballs appeal, I found most of the character designs to be very... like this is one of our villains.
What is up with his face?
This is the same company that brought us into the Spiderverse, by the way, a few years before this. Also, speaking of the villains, the main one just wasn't very good. But if you can get past that this is an Aladdin clone, you will actually have a decent time with this. I found this movie to be really funny and just cute. And I really like the relationship Din and the dragon have. The dragon actually goes through a really nice arc. Overall, really nice watch. Okay guys, next up, I have the Super Mario Bros. Movie. Okay, now, before you threaten me, hear me out. Wait, someone's at the door. Hello? Ah! Alright guys, listen. I'm not siding with the critics here. I think the Mario movie is a ton of fun. As a Nintendo gamer myself, I had a nice time with this. However, I kind of see both sides of what people thought of this movie. Looking at what the audience thought, I can definitely say that I thought the Mario Kart scene was amazing. Same with the Super Smash Bros. Mario vs DK fight. And the animation looked great, along with the casting. Okay, now let me dig into what I agreed with on the critic side.
Wow! I'm kinda shocked at how bad this movie is.
Yes, I think that this movie has a very thin plot. For me, it was just a mindless popcorn flick with my favorite characters. And honestly, I'm not angry about that. Okay, maybe a little bit angry because Luigi got like no screen time, but I still ate up everything Nintendo related in this. Another issue for me was the soundtrack, and the Take On Me Needle Drop was just the worst song choice of the year. Still, a really fun movie, and if you're a Nintendo gamer, you will eat this up. Next movie. And rounding out the C tier, I have Ruby Gillman Teenage Kraken, my most recent watch in this video. Wait, hold up. Are you saying that I can finally talk about a half-decent DreamWorks movie? I've been waiting so long for this, guys. You have no idea. Anyway, I thought this movie was cute. My biggest pro for this one are easily the visuals. Excluding the human designs being a little creepy and causing me sleep deprivation, I adored the visual style this movie went for. The rubbery movements, bioluminescence on the Krakens, and world design were absolutely amazing, as expected of the same art director behind How to Train Your Dragon. I thought all of the original music was great, and so were the song choices. Until they weren't. Okay, descending into my issues now. The marketing. Seriously, whose idea was it at Universal to market this film as a Kraken vs mermaid flick if there was literally only one mermaid in this entire movie, who is a twist villain? Like what? Why were the mermaid models on the poster if they're not even in the... Ah! Were the trailers and release date for this movie rushed or something? Oh wait, hold up. They were. Goddamn. Well, that turned out well for them, didn't it? Overall, cute film, and the best underwater experience from DreamWorks. Kicking off the B tier, I have Luca. I thought Luca was pretty good. I don't think it's one of Pixar's greatest movies, or even my favorite underwater experience from them, but it's still really enjoyable. What I really loved was the story. It's really simple and the characters are a lot of fun, and I really liked Luca and Julia's relationship. My issues with this one are fairly minimal. I did find the start to be pretty slow, but once Luca and Alberto made their way to the Italian town, the movie sorta came together for me. Although I do think Alberto got a bit annoying before his betrayal. Also, this movie goes beyond queer-coded at times if you know what I mean. Overall, really fun movie. Next film. Next up at number 13, I have the Croods 2 A New Age. Honestly, I am dumbfounded by how much fun I had with this one. Easily one of the funniest DreamWorks movies. And much like Luca, this is also a top tier gay rom-com. The plot is basically about the Croods meeting the Bettermans, who teach them about their way of living. I personally really love the idea of making the Croods adapt to all this stuff. It allowed for a lot of fun and the conflict between them was surprisingly good. Also, can we just talk about the backgrounds in this movie? Like, this only cost us $65 million. Did they just put the entire animation budget into the backgrounds? I mean, that will sort of explain what was up with the glossy reflection on the fruit. Why does it look like that? My only issue with this movie is the climax. I was honestly just completely lost when watching this. Everything got so chaotic so fast, I don't know what happened. I know that guy got captured, but everything with the Thunder Sisters and the rescuing, I don't know man, it just got too serious so quickly I couldn't. Overall, good time though. Next film. And rounding out the B tier, I have Turning Red. For some reason, almost everybody that I know who has seen this movie absolutely hates it. Like, in hindsight, I can kind of see why. A lot of the jokes do fall onto the cringeworthy side, which I can imagine for a lot of people would make this hard to watch. But personally, I didn't care. This is a coming-of-age story that is supposed to capture the awkwardness of being a teenager. Like, I'm sure you've said and done cringy stuff before, don't lie. Like, is a coming-of-age story that isn't cringy even realistic at all? Admittingly though, the twerking was a little far. Anyway, onto the review. I thought Turning Red was pretty good. Even as someone who can't completely relate to the story, I still found it to be a really nice watch. I think the story is pretty strong and the art style is really cute. The anime eyes were a little far though. I thought the generational stuff was good, and the friendship stuff was really cute. Though I do wish that these coming of age stories would stop giving the dad like one important scene. But overall, it's a nice watch. Next movie. Kicking off the A tier and just missing out on the top 10, I have Elemental. My issues in my review I made a few months ago on this movie still sort of hold up. I still want to kick Claude across a football field, and I don't think the racial metaphor completely works, but honestly, on a few rewatches, I don't really care. I love these two characters so much, and although their love story is nothing special, there is just something so endearing about these two that I just can't explain. Something about their interactions are just so sweet. I'm really glad that this movie made the comeback that it did. Like, I've heard nobody talk bad about this movie after it became a success. Anyway, love Ember and Wade, love the messages, hate Claude, but great movie. At number 10, I have Marcel the Shell with Shoes On. Zed. Huh? Oh wait, hold up, sorry, Connie was on my keyboard when I was writing the script. Give me a sec. As someone who didn't hear anything about this movie until I got nominated for Best Animated Feature, this was a surprise. Like, I almost cried over a stop-motion shell. A24 are a bunch of mad lads for that. But anyway, Marcel the Shell with Shoes On is a movie about a shell who watch search for his family. The movie is a mockumentary, so mostly just watch Marcel and the way he lives his life. We see him become an internet sensation and how he copes with change. As A24's first family film, I would highly recommend this. It feels more like a YouTube video than it does a movie, but still it's highly entertaining, really emotional, and has an amazing message. My only issue was some of the jokes. While I do think this movie is pretty funny, I just think that some of the jokes just didn't really feel right for the scene. Like, I remember almost being in tears at one point, only for the next line to be a joke. But honestly, that doesn't really matter. Overall, great film. Next movie. At number 9, I have The Mitchells vs. the Machines. Yeah, this is an absolute blast. I almost love everything about this one. The humor is mostly great, the story is really fun, the characters are delightful. Katie is so me-coded with her movie obsession, guys. And the animation? Just wow. This movie proves that Netflix movies that are made by Sony can look amazing. Also, I absolutely love how chaotic this movie's climax is. The animation just goes off and I loved every minute of it. Love the rogue AI stuff, love the characters, love the animation. Just what a winner. My only big issue are some of the jokes. While I do think that the humor in this movie is mostly brilliant, there is unfortunately some really dated stuff in here that kind of made this movie feel really awkward and cringeworthy at times. But if you can get past that, you're left with a great movie with some really thoughtful messages. Highly recommend. Let's move on. At number 8, I have Encanto. One of my friends has this movie as one of their favourite films, so I have to be pretty careful about what I say here. Wait, another person's at the door again? Oh, it's him.
Leave a positive review on this movie or you die.
Oh, okay. Okay, so I've sort of been held at gunpoint by my friend now, so if I talk badly about this movie, he's gonna shoot me. So, Encanto. Easily one of the best uses of generational trauma that I've seen in an animated movie recently. I think the message is fantastic, the animation is great and vibrant, and most of the characters are good. Most. Unfortunately, I did think that there were some really grating characters in this one. Also, the soundtrack? Yeah, it's fantastic. Feels like yesterday when the internet was obsessed with We Don't Talk About Bruno. Speaking of which, I love Bruno. He's honestly my favorite character in this. I just love his portrayal from the family. Overall, great film. So, my friend, my man, do I get to live? Anyway, I'm back from the dead to talk about my number 7, The Bad Guys. Now, according to a lot of people, this movie sort of like restored their faith in DreamWorks because of their movie quality around that time. Although I didn't get up to Spirit Untamed, I think I made a pretty good choice by not. I don't blame them. Trolls 2 and Boss Baby 2 were not the best way to start this decade for DreamWorks. Excluding the Croods 2, of course, Grug is our king. Anyway, back to The Bad Guys. This is an all-around great film in my opinion. My favourite parts in this movie are easily the robbery scenes. They're so energetic, funny, and are delighted by an absolute banger of an original score. Seriously, the soundtrack in this movie is amazing. I thought all the characters were really likeable, and I absolutely love the interactions between the bad guys. They're just so fun and I could not get enough of them. Sure, you might find the story to be predictable and the villain is dog shit, but besides that, this movie is a delight. I would highly recommend it. The Letterboxd reviews on this movie scare me though. Just missing out on the top 5, I have Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem. Looking at the visual style of this film, I think you can already tell that this is a great movie. I'm loving whatever Spiderverse did to animation. First, I just want to get this out of the way. In terms of story, I will admit Mutant Mayhem doesn't do much to stick out, only because we got similar plots in a lot of animated movies around that time, but that doesn't matter. I still think this film was great. The animation is great, the characters are great, the music is great, it's just all around great. I appreciate how the turtles in this movie actually talk like teenagers, and they use a lot of modern slang. It probably won't age too well, but like, I'm enjoying it now, so I don't really care. Also, love Superfly as a villain. I really like how his motives contrast with the turtles and Splinter. Though the other villain for me was just kind of maybe more will happen with her in the sequel. But for now, overall, pretty great movie. Highly recommend it. Let's move to the top 5. Kicking off the top 5 and rounding out the A tier, I have Del Toro's Pinocchio. I think that this is a really brilliant film. Everything about this movie is just great. Especially the ending, it's so good! I really liked how Del Toro took the Pinocchio idea in this movie and added on his own story with all these new elements such as war and loss. Like, this isn't a kid's movie. Like, there are a lot of heavy themes in this movie, which I really love. Though for that reason, I can't really imagine children liking this. Like, I wouldn't have liked this movie at all if this came out a few years ago. Also, the ending to this movie had me in tears. It was perfect. That moment when Pinocchio had to speedrun death to save Geppetto, it was so sweet. Personally, I can speedrun death in about 3 seconds. Now onto my cons. Now, this is a personal take here, but I just did not find the songs in this movie to be very memorable. I don't think they're bad songs at all, but I just didn't really care for them. Also, I thought the pacing got a bit weird with Pinocchio's death rule. Like, every time Pinocchio dies, so much happens after he resurrects and it really felt overwhelming. But besides those 2 personal cons, I cannot think of a single flaw in this. Go watch it. Kicking off the S tier, I have Soul. Look, I love Elemental, but Soul is easily the MVP for Pixar this decade. Soul is amazing. Just like Del Toro's Pinocchio, there are a lot of heavy themes in this movie. Only in this movie, it talks about life and purpose. Like, hold up Pixar, you pulling some Don Hertzfeldt stuff here, whoa. Firstly, can I just talk about the animation? The mad lads at Pixar somehow managed to animate all the correct notes during the music scenes in this. Speaking of which, the score in this movie is great. However, despite all that, the best part about this movie in my opinion are the characters. 22 and Joe. I just love the way the message about spark and purpose is portrayed through them. It's honestly just so well done. Overall, brilliant movie. If you haven't watched this movie yet, add this to your watch list right now or I will add you to mine. Anyway, at number 3, I have Nimona. If I were to choose the most underrated film of 2023, I would choose Nimona. This is a miracle of a film. Not only is it a miracle as in we actually get to see this movie, if you know the production history, but it's also a miracle as in, this movie is amazing. What a great tribute to Blue Sky. I was actually going to make a review on this movie when it first came out, but I decided not to, because I'm an idiot. Anyway, this movie is about a knight named Ballister who gets framed for murder. Ballister escapes, and he meets a wondrous shapeshifter, Nimona, who helps Ballister prove himself innocent. The interactions between Nimona and Ballister are just so delightful, and I just love how they contrast with each other. Also, can I just talk about how intense this movie got? Once that flashback scene with Nimona played, I was honestly getting on the edge of my seat when watching this. Like, this movie took some dark turns. Love the animation too. The way the lighting interacts with the models kind of gave me Tears of the Kingdom cutscene vibes. Maybe it was because I was playing Tears of the Kingdom a bit too much that time. My one issue with this movie is the villain. She sucks. She is just so one-dimensional I couldn't. Still, an amazing movie that is gorgeously animated, highly emotional, and really funny. Anyway, time to talk about a movie with a good villain. Because next up, I have Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. And yes, the wolf in this movie is a villain. Please stop writing comments on my shorts saying that he isn't. You're all idiots. Please stop. Anyway, Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, in my opinion, is phenomenal. The story is about our favourite fearless hero racing against Jack Horner and Goldilocks to get a wishing star. Puss travels with Kitty Softpaws and a dog named Burrito. I would literally die for this dog, guys. Anyway, throughout the movie, Puss gets hunted down by a wolf. The Cave of Lost Souls scene where the wolf reveals that he's death straight up had me shaking in my boots when I saw it in the cinema. Why did people have to meme this scene? No! Anyway, my favourite part of this movie was easily the climax. The action, animation, soundtrack, and chills just go off, and I think this movie concluded perfectly. Anyway, amazing movie, visually stunning, great message, great villain. You gotta watch it. You gotta watch it. Anyway, taking the number 1 spot, I have Across the Spiderverse. Yeah, I know, not really an original take, considering how universally loved this movie is. That is, unless you hate cliffhangers. I think at one point this movie was actually the highest rated film on Letterboxd. I guess Miles Morales is now up there with the Shawshank Redemption, god damn! Letterboxd interesting community you got there. Anyway, I don't think I need to explain anything here. This is a beyond spectacular film. It looks incredible, never feels unengaging, has some spectacular character drama. It's just amazing. I don't know how to say it. Also, that soundtrack, man. That Miguel and Spot theme, guys. Like, these two are scary. Anyway guys, cliche YouTuber conclusion time. I hope you enjoyed this video. I've been procrastinating this one for months now. But video aside, I honestly can't wait to see what animated movies are awaiting us in 2024. I heard we got Inside Out 2, Kung Fu Panda 4, Despicable Me 4, so that's all exciting. And now if you excuse me, I'm off to play Tears of the Kingdom or something.